What is going on, everybody? This is the weekly InSalt. My name is Wade. I'm here with my lovely co-host Laura.
Hey.
And Sound VP of Sound. I think Vice President, CEO, Director of Sound.
I like that.
Kurt.
CEO even, huh?
Well, the sound department.
All right.
Yeah.
Would that be the CES?
Yeah, we'll call him what would it be, like the Chief Audio Officer? We'll call you the CAO?
Chief Engineer.
Yeah.
Chief Engineer.
I like that. Yeah.
Then now we're getting into like, let's make up titles sound really complicated so that we demand more money territory, which I'm all about.
Yeah.
You know, like service technician. Or like, how come there's not a better name for handyman? You know?
Yeah. I can go so many places.
We're also
with
here
that.
with Dale McKeel.
What's up?
You guys know, if you've listened to the show in the past, Dale's been on a few times. I'll up your rating to S tier actor.
Ooh, hey, all
I would
right.
say it in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I think last time you were on the show, I called you Z tier.
Something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, for those
have
of you
changed.
that don't know, episode 288.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
totally breezed over that.
Yeah.
It's mostly because I got distracted by people's job titles.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, when you hear certain things, like there's certain job titles that you hear and you're like, dude, that's such a try-hard like job title. It like blows your mind. You're like, that's an actual thing. What? One thing that I found out this week is have you ever slept with a silk pillowcase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Right? Do you agree that like
I do.
you
Yeah.
slide all over off the pillowcase and everything?
Yeah, you wind up, and silk sheets too. I mean, you wind up off the bed.
Yeah.
How'd that
It's like
happen?
it turns it into a slip and slide.
Yeah.
The only worst combination would be silk sheets with a water bed. You'd be all over that son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, and if you sweat on silk pillows, dude, it there's no coming back. Just throw it away, get a new one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I overheard a conversation and about silk pillowcases, and I was like, they're the worst. They're like, no, they're not. I'm like, name one benefit of a silk pillowcase. And right off the bat, without hesitation, they were like, it's great for your hair. I'm like, what? There's no way. And Google, if you Google
I was
it,
going to say
Kurt,
Google that shit.
silk pillowcase is good for hair, and you will. There's like. I just can't believe it's a thing. It's like the job title that shouldn't exist. Like that's somebody that just wants to buy silk because they
Silk
want
tester?
silk.
God.
It's like, and I think in the top results too, it comes up with like reasons why it's so good for your hair. But I mean, I would never buy silk pillowcases because I'm like, damn, my hair's fucked up. You know, I need to get my hair softer.
I don't buy silk anything. No, I take that back.
I'm just gonna let you have that.
It says silk is gentler on the hair than other fabrics like cotton or linen. The smooth textures allow the fabric to glide against your hair cuticles, producing less friction than coarser fabrics that are more likely to snag hair.
Okay.
How did we ever evolve
But
as
it's
humans
still- I
without
don't know.
silk pillowcases?
I don't know.
But it's still a miserable experience.
That's just no.
It's just like if we were talking right now, Dale, and you told me that you have on silk underwear, I wouldn't trust you. I don't like the fact that you'd be wearing silk underwear around all the time. It seems.
Why?
I don't know. Like, would you wear silk underwear? Dale,
I
Dale,
have.
What do you think about it?
That's
terrible.
assuming I'm not right now.
Well, we know first of all you're not wearing underwear. You're wearing a thong. I've tried it once and I was like, this is too weird.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No,
It's like it'd be like wearing gym shorts without the liner in it or something.
I wore silk boxers for a while, and it's no.
How old were you when you did that? Because I think every guy goes through that phase. They're like, I got silk boxers.
This is
early
such an interesting
20s,
conversation.
early 20s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, early 20s. There's no
that's around
support.
the
There's nothing. It's just like it's no.
I mean, arguably back then you're at your prime, right? So you probably don't need the support quite yet.
Well, Dale's got on his silk slingshot.
Banana hammock. This was a conversation that happened at the bar, and it led not today. Yeah, it was just throughout the week last week. But there's some other things that came up that I don't know if I've shared on the show. I think I've told this joke, but there's a guy that goes into the bar, African-American guy. His name is, I'll just use his first name, Ray. And we were there one night, and I was like, sometimes I just make jokes without thinking about the consequences of it. And I've done it a few times, and not jokes, but just like I make like blind observations and just shit just falls out of my mouth, right?
No filter.
No
Yeah,
filter.
so they're passing around sunglasses, and Ray puts on these sunglasses, and I was like, man, you look like every guy from Zimbabwe that wants to see my passport. And he goes, how'd you know I'm from Zimbabwe? I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, are you really from Zimbabwe? He's like, yeah, man, I am. And then he kind of gave me that look of like, I couldn't tell if the joke hit with him or not. So I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. He's like, I just don't know how you knew I was from Zimbabwe. I was like, it was literally one of those things where it's like, I feel like if he was in a YouTube video, that would be his character.
Right,
you know?
right.
But so I saw him again last night, and I was like, I hope that didn't offend you. And he's like, no, man, it's just that because I asked him again, I'm like, are you actually from Zimbabwe, or did you just say that? He's like, no, man, I am. So now the joke's evolving into me just not believing he's from Zimbabwe. But it was one of those weird things where it just came out of my mouth, but it ended up being true. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever had it happen this bad?
No.
Showed up at the bar.
No.
This is worse.
No.
Showed up at the bar, and it was later at night, and this guy came out like not speaking correctly, and I never met him before, and I was like, damn, he was like kind of slurring his words. He seemed really drunk, and I was like, you're so drunk, dude. Like, are you going to be okay to get home? And he's like, I need an Uber. And I was like, you're wasted. And then his buddy's like, dude, he's deaf. You know what I did? Where you want the Uber to, bud? Tell me where the Uber's going, you know? And then I talked to him, and he wrote a book. He sent me a copy of his book and everything. He was a really great guy. But it was one of those things where you just can't make assumptions like that, you know?
No.
You got to have an example of one time you've done that.
Oh, God, no. No,
Not one that you want to share?
No, I can't remember one off the top of my head.
Oh, jeez. It's going to be a long show, Dale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you, Dale?
The only thing that I can think of was I was working for a company. We were doing a recruiting event, and this guy comes up to register for the recruiting event, and my buddy Jeff is sitting next to me, and this guy signing his paperwork's got a pager on his belt, and Jeff goes, hey, dude, 1994 called. They want their pager back. And the dude looks at him and goes, it's my insulin monitor. So Jeff just slides under the table like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I try not to do, like, ask people stuff that you might be wrong at, like asking a woman if she's pregnant, for example.
Oh, yeah. Like, and that's actually a great point, because I don't play the game where a woman says, guess how old I am.
Yeah.
No, I don't play that game. Mm-hmm. I made that mistake one time. The lady's like, how old do you think I am? I'm like, early 60s. She's like, I'm 41. I'm like, I'm not. I'm, number one, I know I'm not great at this game, and I never lived it down.
Or guess my weight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't do that one either.
You know what the best response to that? When a woman asks you to guess her weight, you ask her if she's pregnant. Speaking of just people, I guess, in general, we went to the fair.
Dude,
State Fair.
A lot of people there last night.
I've only been one other time on the demolition derby night.
Yeah.
That was yesterday, the 16th. It was sold out. Demolition derby sold out. There was just people everywhere.
There was.
How long did we wait in line for? I guess it's fair to say mediocre food.
Mediocre. I don't know, 40 minutes
Yeah.
maybe.
The food wasn't good?
I mean,
Well, my sandwich was good.
I got a chili dog, and it was $14 for like canned chili with cheese whiz on top of the hot dog. Don't get me wrong, it was delicious.
Well, sure.
But $14 delicious?
Yeah, that's why I price shop. I'm like,
Nah.
chili dog, 14, tri-tip sandwich, 15. I'm going with the tri-tip.
Which was the right decision.
It was, yeah.
But then you're also at the fair, and you're eating the food because they don't have any tables anywhere, and the areas that do have tables are packed because there's so many people.
Yeah.
So then we're eating by like electrical box.
Yeah,
We're just
Next
sitting
to
our
a garbage
electrical
can.
box, you know, drinking our seltzers, and like it was good. I liked it. Kurt had what we can only describe as the worst corn dog in history, right?
it was horrible.
Yeah. Why was it so bad?
I think it was more the breading than anything, but you know.
Did it taste like something else was fried in the oil or something?
It had to have been.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. There was the texture, the consistency of the breading was just off.
You know when you see a show,
And the hot dog was about as thick as this pen.
about pen size, yeah. When you go to like a show and they're on stage and they're like, "Oh, you want to go backstage and check it out?" And then you go backstage and it ruins the show for you.
Oh yeah,
That was your corn dog.
yeah.
Because like the breading, it looked all good, and then when the breading all fell off, you realize that they just skewered one hot dog and another half hot dog.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even. They didn't even spend the money to just get the bigger hot dog.
Yeah. He met Oz.
Yeah.
He met Oz. The curtains got pulled
Curtains
back.
got pulled back. Drew ended up getting a corn dog too, and I think this is the most funny interaction. Where he's finished his corn dog, I'm done. Their food took a little while, and Drew walks up and Kurt holding the corn dog, and Kurt goes, "By the way, that corn dog is bullshit. It's horrible." And Drew's like, "Thanks, Kurt. I haven't even started eating it yet." And she ate it.
Well,
but she took a different approach because of your.
Well, I've had grocery store frozen corn dogs better than that bullshit. I mean, the bar S, the bottom shelf bar S, where it was better.
Where it's just like basically pig and beef hearts.
Yeah, but I don't know what this was. It wasn't. Beef.
It wasn't big enough to get a taste.
It wasn't chicken feet and beaks. That's for sure.
But the derby itself was super
cool.
fun.
I
Yeah.
love demolition derbies.
Yeah.
A lot of rowdy people. Like the demolition derby is America.
It is.
You have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's take all of these cars that are just sitting around doing nothing. Let's destroy them. But
And then let's fix them up again and then destroy
but
them.
let's build them in a way that tries to not let them be destroyed.
Right.
There was this one car.
143.
We saw it, 145, I think.
Oh, 145, yeah.
And we saw it before the show because we went over kind of to the smoking area, and you could see behind the scenes of the stadium. And there was this crunched up car. Like, it's already been crunched up.
Yeah.
Does the demolition derby like earlier today too or something? Like, what is it? No, that was just they just fixed it enough that it still works, And that car
was awesome.
took a beating, like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think it was really interesting being at the demolition derby because you get to see inside of what it's like to run an arena. They had a car that was sponsored by a specific company. I'll just put them on blast. I don't know, Purple Mattresses.
Yeah. Yep.
Sponsored by that. But in exchange, or maybe Purple bought the sections or something. They had like 7 sections of seats. The thing sold out. The whole stadium is packed. But then in the section that Purple had, there was like, a few people per section.
Maybe
like
half filled.
10%.
So they wait. Like, I get it, you sponsored it, and they got seats or whatever. But if I was the arena, I would have just like under the table. I'm just gonna sell the extra seats.
Yeah.
Right.
There was people waiting forever. Horrible. Like experience getting in to that because
It was, yeah.
the show starts at 7. They didn't start letting people in till 7-ish, but the lines were so long we didn't get in until like the first race was already like pretty much over.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they've got some work to do, but I can't
Not
blame
coordinated well.
them. Yeah. What else happened at the fair?
We got a really great parking spot.
Which was in the weirdest place possible. We went to we tried to park across to the south side of the fairgrounds. That's where a big dirt field is. It's got its own light that you turn it there, to park. We're in that turning lane and it's like lot full. And we're like, shit, well, we don't know what to do. We end up going to like the KOA that was down there, and it's $20 parking, which is a little steep. But this is the beginning of the experience. It's the best. We pay, we go in. This guy stops us in a golf cart. He goes up to Kurt. Kurt's like, where you want me? He goes, can you parallel park? Kurt's like, yeah.
What kind of question is that?
And we flips around and gets in his golf cart, flips around, and we're following him through this. It's basically a trailer park.
Yeah. It's a KOA campground.
It's a KOA, but yeah, there's like a trailer park attached to it too.
Is, yeah.
And then like once we get to where we're parking, I'm looking at the spot because Kurt was so confident. Yeah, of course I can parallel park. We get to the spot and I'm like, dude, there's no way. I'm like, I would have a hard time parallel parking my truck in there, and yours is bigger. Your truck's bigger than my truck.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 parallel parking job.
It was awesome.
You didn't
I
have
was
to
very,
straighten
very
out
impressed.
one time. I thought you were going to hit the trailer that was there. I
Yeah,
thought you
the
were going to hit
truck.
the truck that was there. But Kurt just,
Props, man.
like, do you practice parallel parking?
No.
You soared under pressure, man.
I'd back that trailer up all the time, but
Yeah.
That helps. That counts as practice as
I
far
think
as
it
I'm
does.
concerned, because you have to be able to put that thing in certain spots.
yeah.
Well, it was the perfect spot, too. He parked us right by the secret gate and gave us a secret
It
gate
was
code.
weird. It was
Ooh.
weird. He's like, go through that gate. Here's the code. I almost said the code.
I know.
I'm sure they've changed it by now.
He would
Maybe
think
when the
they would.
fair's over, but we go through the gate, and you're in this weird, like, by a river down there, and
Is it the Jordan? Does it Jordan go all the way down there?
I'm pretty sure that's the Jordan.
Yeah, I think it is
Jordan
too.
River.
Yeah.
But downtown's getting
Sketchy.
bad. There was like just homeless people everywhere down there.
Did you see the people under the bridge?
I didn't see people under the bridge.
I did.
People.
Yeah.
To like pay the toll.
Man.
Yeah, so that first bridge that we walked over, turned around, came back, I turned around and looked down, and there was some people right there.
Well, and the
Right
bridge,
next to the water.
The actual bridge that we went over, if you look, maybe it was the first bridge, but you look over to the right when you're crossing it, and there's a bunch of trees, but there's like hollowed out, and there's like a tent city in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that wasn't just that part of downtown. It was like we went past the 7-Eleven that I was like, what is happening? There was so many homeless people congregating at the 7-Eleven that they had tied black trash bags to the trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
For them to throw garbage into, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
Salt Lake, we need to do something about this.
It's not just Salt Lake. I went down to Phoenix last month, and one of the guys that I worked with down there, he's from Phoenix. He took me on a tour of like old movie sets and locations and stuff. And as we're driving around, he drove me through what they call the Zone down near downtown Phoenix, and it's about a 5-block stretch where at one point there were over 2,000 homeless tents.
Holy hell.
that's crazy.
I mean, there were tents down there that had like wood doors on the front. You know, and driving down there, it's just it breaks your heart, but at the same time, it makes you realize that there are a lot of people in this country that are one paycheck away from that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 You know, and it's one of those things. It's like, man,
It
yeah,
comes down to,
that was bad.
like, I think Utah's in the top 3 most expensive places to live
Yeah,
now.
well, in Salt Lake County, I don't know,
Or
Salt Lake
Salt
County,
Lake, yeah,
Salt Lake
yeah.
City, they announced some weird program that I read it, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. They allocated like $500,000, and they're going to build these pods in for homeless people to be in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think something similar happened in California. Or in
But it's
LA.
only for like 50 people.
Well,
Yeah,
500,000 for
Yeah,
50 people.
yeah, it works out to like $2,000 per person.
well, it's so somebody somewhere can go, well, see what I did. I did something for it, and
It's just not.
it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
One thing that, and I don't know, I don't have the solution to the homeless problem because I think it's
I don't
such a broad issue, right? Just because somebody's homeless doesn't mean that they don't want to work. Some of them can't.
Right.
Some of them can't. Some of them have mental issues. Some of them should be on medication all the time that they can't get, you know?
Criminal records. There's any
Yeah.
number of things that can keep you out of employment.
I think a huge thing, though, is just giving them an address that they can get mailed to because a lot of people, you can't get a job
Yeah.
if you don't have an address, right?
Yeah.
Or like an
Yeah.
ID. But
And you can't get a place to live unless you have previous history and employment.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
a tough thing.
And then if you are homeless for a long time and then you go apply for a job, they're like, well, what did you work at last? Well, I didn't really have a job last, you know?
Yeah.
And then people wonder why. But I think there's ways to, like, I don't know, maybe the homeless shelters allow you to send mail there. I don't know. But
Well,
I
the
haven't dug in
turnover's
deeper.
so bad at those places, though. It's not like the homeless shelter. You have a permanent address now. This is where you spent last night.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. And then once you
Yeah.
leave, you got to wait back in line and then hope you get a bed again.
It's
Right.
I think the biggest portion or the biggest problem with it is the oversimplification of the problem. People don't. They hear something or there's too much information to take in, so they just have to cut it down to one lane that they can make sense out of, and it oversimplifies it.
Yeah.
I think that goes with any issue, any major societal issue you have.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And there's not like a single solution, right?
No.
And it
There's
takes
not.
one thing that I guess in the United States we're not great at is getting along. So there's not
Really?
like
I hadn't noticed.
so how do you get a bunch of people to come together to solve that issue? You know, there's going to be people like, well, we shouldn't put the money there.
Yeah.
We should put the money here. We should do this. And
Yeah.
and we know how opinions go in the United States lately, which is you don't believe my opinion, I hope you die.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
not, it's not like
Yeah.
I'm glad that's your opinion. You want to get some lunch? It's like, oh, you don't like
Yeah.
my opinion? I'm not hanging out with you
No.
anymore. See you
Yeah.
later. And I don't think it's going to get any better, but I don't have a solution to that problem
Yeah.
either.
But I agree, Dale. There's not one simple solution to
No.
the problem.
No.
I'm glad that we also didn't hit that biker. That was the last note. We were pulling out of the parking area, and I just saw this red blur, and I'm like, watch out, watch out, watch out. Dude, like, you stopped, I think, in a reasonable time because, like, I yelled quick enough, but he was on his phone on his bike and just, Kurt had the green light. He just went straight across the crosswalk.
I had to right away. It was green light for me, so I started going. Wade's like, stop, stop, stop. And I stop, and this.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't even know if he saw us.
No. He didn't even look up.
No.
And it was dark at this point, so usually headlights are a pretty good indicator that something's coming towards you. He didn't give a shit.
That's called thinning the herd.
That's what he would have definitely hurt himself pretty bad if he ran into your truck.
Oh yeah, he was going fast.
He would have flipped over it for sure.
Yeah.
But then I would have been mad because now we have to stay there.
Yeah, we have to stay. My truck's all fucked up.
And we were trying to get out of there before all the traffic got out of there.
Yeah. We did jump the gun on leaving.
We did.
Because they were like, this is your main event, and then the race ended and they presented the flag trophy to the guy and we got up and left. And then when we were leaving, we look up at the screens and there's cars. I'm like, dang it.
That wasn't the main event then.
I mean, maybe the main event had multiple parts.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. One other thing.
What was the difference between the main event and the heats that we watched?
Well,
the heats are qualifying.
Yeah.
Normally, the way the racing runs is you run heats, and the top 3 in a heat or top 2 in a heat pass on to the main event.
Okay, gotcha.
So they'll run like 5 heats. If the top 2, then you got 10 cars in the main event. I don't know if that's the way the Demolition Derby runs, but that's the way a lot of racing does.
I really wish that they would use modern cars. Demolition Derby,
like get like sponsored by like Toyota. You just get brand new 4Runners in Tacoma.
Probably not brand new, but at least within the last 10 years.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to see airbags going off instead of radiators blowing.
I thought the radiators exploding was fun.
That's one of my favorite things about the Demolition Derby is the things that the crowd gets amped up about.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling Kurt. I leaned over at one point and said, see, Kurt, we could do a show about anything to entertain people. So what happened is the first race, this car got smashed into a Jersey barrier. It was all backed up by dirt on the outside of the arena. So they hit it. They're not going over the barrier or anything. Nobody's getting hurt. But it rolled over the Jersey barrier. So then in between, to remove the cars, they come out with skid steers and front loaders and stuff like that. This guy comes out with a front loader, I guess, but he's got forks on the front.
Yeah.
And he's trying to lift it up and stuff. And the whole time you're just waiting. So everybody's watching this guy.
Yeah.
And then he lifts his forks over and disconnects them to try and use the different part of the front loader to put it up. And everybody starts laughing like, oh, he left his forks, And everybody's like laughing at him. The crowd's going crazy. And then he gets the forks back on and then flips it over and the whole crowd cheers. I'm like, we're watching a guy move a Jersey barrier.
Right.
I was like, Kurt, I worry so much about producing the show and what content we're going to have. Our first live show, we're renting a skid steer and we're just moving shit around. Yeah. Or let's get a forklift and just see how high we can stack things.
It would be no different. I mean, none of those guys were qualified to drive that equipment.
The one thing what made you the most mad at the Demolition Derby last night?
Was there something specific that you're looking for?
Yeah. There was a guy that was in charge of
the grader. I don't know what the hell that guy was doing.
So there's a guy in a John Deere tractor with a grader, because obviously Demolition Derby, your tires are spinning, you're creating these ruts. So in between the races, they have a guy come out and go around the arena and
like a dirt Zamboni.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly.
This guy, I'm sure he was told, you need to stay out of the way of every other piece of machinery that's out there while we clear it. So he had no pattern. He was just zigzagging around this thing. And I know
did your OCD kick into overdrive?
Kurt's very particular about
I was watching, I'm like, why are you, I mean, there's hardly anybody out there. It was just him cruising around. I'm like, why aren't you following, like when you mow your fucking lawn? No, he's like going over the same spots over and over. I'm like, you just did that spot. What the fuck are you doing?
It was making me laugh because I'm like, I could tell it was driving you nuts.
That was funny. And that was Drew's favorite piece of equipment. She says, that guy has the best job.
Yeah, he did. He had the fastest piece of equipment. Yeah. He was just out there, and you could tell that his seat was air ride. He's just bouncing like. He's probably having the time of his life.
He was.
And then I look over at Kurt. He's like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. It was super fun.
It was.
If you haven't been to a Demolition Derby, I highly recommend it. It's I got Zach really good because Zach works on cars.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys going to the fair? I'm like, yeah, we're going to watch people destroy the things you create. And then I asked him when I got back, I said, are you a fan of a Demolition Derby? He's like, Nah,
Nah.
not really.
No.
I'm like,
No.
dude, that would be awesome because you make a ton of money working on those cars. He's like, I'm not really trying to get in the business of endless work.
That is funny.
It was super fun. If you just want to go have fair food, don't go there on the demolition derby night.
No.
Demolition derbies are fun. That's pure American culture right there.
It's so awesome.
And it was obvious that they all knew each other, all the drivers.
Yeah, and they put on a great show. There's a lot of things that, because you made a comment where you're like, it kind of sucks that they don't like end to end the arena full speed collision. You know, they don't do that because they don't want to hurt other people. You know,
Yeah.
There's a lot of regulations around
Yeah.
it, and they, like you said, they probably all know each other. But then there was this at the last one we saw.
Yeah.
You could tell that these two guys planned it out.
Oh, yeah,
They were
definitely.
like, if we're still the last couple cars, we're going to do a major head-on collision, you know? And then, of course they did, and the crowd goes crazy, and then their arms
Yeah.
out the window like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flaggers were like, no, stop.
Yeah, even the safety crew was
Yeah.
like, don't do that again, and the guy does it again.
Yeah.
And the guy in the car getting hit,
He's
like,
like,
bring it on
egging
again,
him
man. There were some weird things that happened. A car caught on fire.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Yeah, because they have like safety crew around the arena, and they'll wave the flag to
Yeah.
tell them to stop because usually it can be dangerous. If a car bursts into flames, you want to get the driver out of there. So they put out a fire, and then there's one car that I couldn't figure out, but it was sparking from the weirdest places,
Oh,
like the
like
frame of
inside
the
the
car,
dash?
inside the car. Every time he got hit, these sparks would fly out of the dashboard, and you could see the driver like reaching over and like trying to do something, you know. And
You know
I'm
what it was?
It
You know-
probably was a short that electrified the frame or something. is what
No,
I'm
they
thinking.
just have an angle grinder that's spinning. It's just kind of sitting there and
So you think it was intentional?
it rocks and hits some
He's
things.
driving with one hand and angle grinding in the other one just to get sparks. And then there's always random things too that, like, at one point something popped off a car that was like on fire, and it was just in the middle of the arena burning. Like, where did that come from?
And then the one car without a tire racing.
Yeah. They had to stop the race to get the tire off,
Yeah.
and then like a drive shaft.
It was
cool.
definitely fun.
Yeah, I would
I'd
go
do it again.
for sure. Let's take a break real quick,
All right.
and then we'll be back to talk to Dale about. We got to talk about what's going on with the strike. The
Oh,
writer's strike.
yeah.
So we'll be right back after the break. And we're back. Weekly Insult, episode 288.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
You guys never went anywhere, hopefully.
No. Hopefully not.
Kurt, we got to get into Kurt's Corner.
Oh,
Was that a good one?
That's good. That's good.
Kurt's Corn Dog.
Kurt's corn dog.
Kurt's corn dog.
Kurt's Corner. What you got, man?
So there's another product shortage going on in the United States.
Okay.
This is polyethylene glycol. Does anybody know what that is or what it does?
Peg. Yes.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember.
Is it paint thinner?
Isn't it just?
No, it's used in a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's used much, but primarily it's the primary compound ingredient of laxatives.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So this is the product that's used to draw moisture out of your body and into your shit.
Here we are talking about poop again.
Okay.
Maria.
Always.
That causes you to have butt piss for a few days.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually butt pee, and it's not mud butt because it's two different things. We got to specify.
Totally different.
Oh my goodness.
Totally different.
Are we
So
gonna go
Have you
down
had
this?
mud butt before?
Dude. I refuse to talk about my butt on the air.
So the shortage is being driven by influencers on TikTok.
Okay.
That are touting it as a way for healthy gut and weight loss,
Oh God.
which is totally incorrect. Don't
mean,
be eating laxatives.
I'm
for
sure it
weight
will
loss.
help you lose weight when you get rid of all the water in your body, but you kind of need that.
Yeah, it does more than just you lose
sure,
water.
yeah.
You lose all kinds of stuff that you need. So don't be doing that. Yeah. So speaking of the same product line, Apple had their Wonderlust event,
They did.
and they released 2 versions of the Apple Watch and 4 models of the iPhone 15.
Yeah.
Great. They're still making those shitty products, huh?
Yeah, but it's got a better charger.
Yes, they are.
Oh, you mean if they finally just met the standard?
Yes.
Yeah,
They're conforming
they
now.
They did introduce USB-C charging for those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Finally.
that's probably one of the biggest changes that they've done. But the USB-C, that only applied to their iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
All their other products, like iPads and everything else,
Still
uses USB-C.
Well, that's
Oh, okay. They're still uses their proprietary one, or they always use
No,
USB-C?
they've always used USB-C.
Okay.
It's just their iPhones that didn't.
I think the whole character arc of the USB cable is funny to me because it started out just regular USB, then they're like, maybe we want to put more power through this. They had a different one, you know? And the fact that we're on USB-C, there's USB mini, micro.
Yeah.
Finally, C comes out. It's like, can we just not do that the first time? Like, is the cable makers trying to get that much money? Do you think there's going to be USB-D?
I don't know.
It's like wireless. Just go wireless. So, are you going to get the new iPhone?
I'm thinking about it.
What are some of the features of the new one besides USB-C?
The cameras.
Yeah, the cameras, the Pro versions is a titanium body, exterior shell. The internal is aluminum, so it's lighter.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's only lighter by a gram." I've been reading about that, but that's probably the standard 15.
Yeah.
The regular 15 isn't.
But the Pro Max.
Yeah, the Pro and the Pro Max.
How much do they want for? How much does Apple want for a phone these days?
Depend on the model. of
Depends
course.
on the model.
And if
Pro
you have
Max.
trade-in.
Yeah.
The Pro Max, how much is retail?
$1,200, I think.
Okay.
For the Pro Max. The standard Pro 15.
Pretty much standard.
Yeah, standard Pro 15 is that starts at $1,099.
Yeah, and
I think it's great that we all as consumers just accept the fact that phones are going to be really expensive. We'll just pay for it monthly.
yeah.
And I think if you want
Yeah.
a terabyte, it's like $1,600, something like that.
Oh, really?
I don't think they have a terabyte model
Yeah, they do.
for the 15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think they did.
I looked last night
Oh,
because
shit.
I was comparing them.
Think about all of the data you could lose when you get a new phone.
Well,
I don't know, but
I don't
you've
pay
been-
for my phone monthly though.
Well, I mean, yeah. Like when you get your phone, do you just pay cash?
I do. I just buy it
upfront?
outright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that until they started costing like $1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some phones that are over $2,000. Like the thing that Galaxy or Samsung made the mistake is they went on the trend of the folding screen, which is such a bad idea.
It is a bad
What
idea.
happens to copper wire when you fold it a bunch of times?
It bends and breaks.
And somebody was telling me, "Oh man, I got the Z Fold. It's so cool, man." When you buy it, it comes with one free screen replacement. You know what that means? They knew it's gonna fail. They already knew it's gonna.
Yeah.
They already did the test. They know it's
Yeah.
gonna fail.
Good luck with the second and third screen.
Yeah. By then, they just expect it to be disposable, right? You
Yeah.
get one screen
Yeah.
replacement, then get a new one.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
Products
I'm
are
glad-
designed to fail. That's the way things are these days.
I know. I'm just waiting for.
I'm surprised this TV on the wall is still running.
Yeah. I'm surprised like everything isn't disposable. Like disposable automobile. I guess we did go to the demolition derbies.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Maybe
what
they-
Teslas are.
Dude, Tesla's been having a rough time too. I don't know if we talked about it, but the tires.
Oh, really?
People would buy a Tesla and they'd have to replace the tires all the time because it's so heavy. Like normal car tires weren't developed for Teslas.
Are they so heavy because of the batteries? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
The
battery
whole
weight.
underside of the car is the battery.
Could you imagine like a Tesla going up like a cell phone? Was those cell phones were doing for a while?
Of like blown up.
Like you're just driving down the road and the whole thing just lights on fire.
Like one of those lithium ion batteries or whatever.
Yeah,
You stab
yeah.
them right and
Yeah.
they just explode. Yeah.
I think everybody watched those videos of that happening in somebody's pocket, and you're like, "Oh, I hope that never happens to me."
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else for Kurt's Corner?
That's it.
That's it.
The coolest thing that you saw at the Apple thing was the USB-C port.
I could probably go through all the stuff, but it's better than the one I have.
Yeah, okay.
Which one do you have?
I have the 12.
Ah. Maybe that's what I have. Do I have a 12 or 13? Can't remember now.
Yeah. So the cameras are better, though. Are they Samsung quality cameras yet?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, man.
I know they have telephoto on one.
How many lenses does it have?
3.
It has 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one you can use. I can't remember. The telephoto one is the one that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
But they are saying that the new 15s are supposed to be, like the Pro versions, are supposed to be just as powerful, if not more, than most desktops and laptops.
Yeah, that's cool.
So they did a lot of demonstration with gaming and how the quality of that.
I've never been a fan of playing like games on my phone, really.
Neither have I.
Not like desktop games, right? Like Call of Duty. I'm not.
Well, considering that every phone game is a pay to win.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But you know what? I think that you, Laura, got sucked into a couple phone games.
Yeah, I play a few.
Yeah, what are a few of them?
Let's see. I play Dice Dreams.
Oh, you're still on that?
Yeah, I play it every day, man.
I gave up on that.
Kings. What is it? Kings. I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
of it. I play a few
like
of them though.
Candy Crush, but different.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Man, what a great marketing strategy for Candy Crush, right?
Yeah.
You want to spend $8 to get more lollipops?
Sure.
What the hell? And then we were I think we went down this road in a conversation, you and I, Kurt, where I would develop a mobile game, but my morals don't let me. Like, I couldn't, because I was like, if somebody's mom called me and they're like, my son, he was playing your game and he charged, like, we got a phone bill for $10,000. We can't afford that.
That's why we don't have 900 numbers anymore.
The people that like create those games, they're like, sorry,
yeah,
you didn't lock your phone, and I couldn't do it. I'd have to be like, I feel you. That would suck. But like Candy Crush, dude, they don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah.
Their whole thing is like get you right to the edge. They figured out the science behind. You're just about to beat the level, and you won't be able to unless you buy this one thing.
Yeah.
Or you can wait for 8 hours or whatever, and then you can try again.
Right.
And it just drives people nuts.
I just hate the pop-up ads. They freaking piss me off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pop-up ads are getting out of control.
They are. I mean, if I'm going to purchase, I'm going to do it anyway. You don't have to pop me up every 2 seconds and tell me to buy something.
Yeah. They just make double money.
Mm-hmm.
The best game to download is that video poker app that I have. That's like the perfect emulation. Video poker, and there's like no ads in it. It's just one guy made it. He just loves the video poker machines at casinos. He just rewrote the whole thing.
Yeah.
The sounds and everything. It's crazy. Dale, that's not why you're here. Talk about the fair. Talk about games on the phone.
No.
There's been a huge thing going on that I've purposefully kind of stayed away from. I've overheard a few things, but it's the writer's strike, and you're heavily involved in. Are you still part of SAG?
Yes.
Yeah, so you still do that whole thing.
Yep.
What's at the core of writers going on strike? What are they asking for?
The core of the writer's strike, they've been on strike now for, 139 days. And the big thing with the writer's strike, it gets kind of confusing. It's an organization called the AMPTP. Basically what it is, it's a group of studios, streamers, and producers that have gotten together, and they built an alliance that they negotiate with the writers and with the actors.
Okay.
And what they want to do is they want to start utilizing AI, a lot of AI. What they're wanting to do is one of the things that I've kept up on was they want AI to write a movie script.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they want to hire a writer on a day rate
to edit the script,
and smooth it out and make it feel not so AI-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking away from the livelihood of a lot of writers. One of the things that they want to do with television shows, your late night shows were the ones that were the first to be hit with the writer's strike, because every show has a room of writers. And they get together every day and they throw together ideas and they toss out the ones that don't make any sense, and then they write for the show that night. And what they want, what the AMPTP wants, I'm going to call them the producers, just instead of saying AMPTP all the time. The producers want the writers, they want more interns to do the writing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a big group of writers that they pay. They want more interns. They're looking for free labor is what they're looking for.
Yeah. Or they're trying to reduce costs, or what? Because I'm sure it takes a while to write, especially
it does.
Come up with something unique.
It does. But that's the way that it's been going. There's the big thing with the writers is they want to utilize more AI in it, and it's cutting down the livelihood of the writers that have been employed for a while.
Yeah.
And it's starting to be a negative thing for people that want to get into it.
Yeah.
Because it's if you write a movie script, the old template was you wrote the movie script, you shopped it around, you tried to get somebody to buy it, and then they would pay X amount of dollars for it, and if the movie got made, you would got X amount of dollars extra for it.
Yeah.
And because of what they want to do with the movie scripts in writing, it's taking that away.
Yeah, I just asked ChatGPT right now to write an episode of our podcast.
Yeah, did it?
Yeah, it did, and it's got you. Like you're the host in this podcast. It says there's a narrator. It says, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another sizzling episode of the Weekly InSalt, the podcast where we take a pinch of humor, a dash of controversy, and a sprinkle of insight, and serve it all up with a generous helping of wit."
Wow.
I'm your host, Laura, and joining me are the ever sarcastic Wade and delightfully candid Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
So you say in the first line of this, I'll try to make it quick. Hey, everyone, grab your salt shakers because we're about to dive headfirst into some spicy topics today.
Oh, my God.
We have a very special guest with us, the one and only Dale.
Oh, my God.
The one and only
And then
Dale.
I say...
It's funny. That's what you call me all the time.
I know.
You're not supposed to give behind-the-scenes stuff like that.
Sorry.
Then I say, that's right, Laura. Dale is an expert in all things controversial, and he has a knack for stirring the pot. You know what we should do? Next time you're on the show, I'm going to have ChatGPT write us all a script, and we're going to stick to it.
Are we?
Okay.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, this is what you're getting at, is that I just put in, the prompt for this was write a script for a podcast called The Weekly InSalt, starring Laura, Wade, Kurt with a special guest, Dale.
Yeah.
And it dumped out the whole thing. It produced the whole thing.
Yeah.
It has intro music. It says that we have to take an upbeat music transition, a comedic break, and then Dale brings up pineapple on pizza because he's the controversy guy.
Shit.
Damn right.
There's a laugh track and a soothing transition.
Huh.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I mean,
I want to
imagine.
know how it ends.
Okay, I can tell you. I'll give you the Cliff Notes edition.
Okay.
Dale, the first topic is making headlines everywhere, the great social media debate. And then Kurt goes, oh boy. It's going to be salty. Oh, wow. ChatGPT's really pushing the name. You know?
Right.
And then we talk about that for a minute. And then Dale, like out of nowhere, like after a comedic break, Laura says, time for our next segment, food fights. And Kurt goes, you know what really grinds my gears, Laura? The pineapple on pizza debate. Seriously, who puts fruit on a perfectly good pizza? Dale says, pineapple pizza is a culinary abomination, and I will stand by that statement until the end of time.
See, it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
Totally wrong.
Laura, basically at the end, it's just like a normal show. You thank Dale for being there, and then... you tell him that it's been a blast having him on the show, so you just blatantly lie to him.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
And then Dale says, my pleasure. Keep shaking things up everywhere.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it does the outro music, and the narrator says, and there you have it, folks. Another tantalizing episode of the Weekly InSalt. Remember, don't take life too seriously, but do keep those salt shakers handy.
That is so
Until
bad.
next week, stay salty.
That is so bad.
So bad.
Oh, God.
So now you understand why a writer would
absolutely.
need to be involved to the AI. Like, we just got a whole episode basically, and then if we just had a writer go through and say, oh, we can just all the footwork's done,
Yeah.
now I can just change it. But then the writer's like, normally I would write all of that, and now I just have to go through and skim and change and make things.
And they want to pay them on a day rate. That's a big hang up for them, because instead of putting them on a yearly salary or putting them into contract for an X amount of dollars for a season, they want to pay them a smaller amount for one day of work. If you work that day, you get paid. If you don't get paid.
So, so do they have to? So does that get rid of the need to pay benefits and do incentives?
It does, because that's a whole nother issue right there. That's a big issue with the actors as well. You have to earn X amount of dollars in order to qualify for pension and health under the union contracts. And because they are cutting down the amount that's being paid to the writer, it's going to make it that much more difficult for the writer to meet the threshold to be able to qualify for pension and health. And it's the same thing with the actors.
And I can see this leading down a slippery slope of, it's kind of like they would be working themselves out of a job in a sense, because imagine that you now go 100% chat GPT or AI is writing a movie or a TV show, the editors are editing it. Now you start developing
it's starting to learn.
Or you specifically develop a screenwriting AI and then when your editors fix things, you just train that model to say, here's the things we're looking for, and eventually you don't need the writers anymore.
No.
Well, and that's the incremental thing stuck into my head there, because with the actors, with the Screen Actors Guild after a strike, you can't really understand the current state of things unless you go back and look at the history of the relationship between the producers and the actors.
Yeah.
The incremental pieces that have been put in place for the current situation is back in the 80s, when the actors went to renegotiate their contract with the producers. It was right about the time that video cassette was coming out. Yeah. It was a newfangled thing. VHS. Awesome. Yeah. And the producers used the excuse during the negotiations of saying, well, this is something new. We don't know exactly how this is going to work out.
They hedged their bets.
Let's table this for now, and we'll come back and get it back to you on the next contract negotiation. So they negotiated rates according to the producers saying, we don't know how it's going to work. We don't want to lose money. And then it blew up big, and they never came back to it. And then later on, you got into streaming.
Yeah.
Okay, streaming, they did the same thing. Well, streaming's brand new. We don't know how this is going to work out. And it was the actors union that allowed it to happen, because they always thought that they were going to get it back.
Yeah, because they were told we'll come back to it next time.
Right. And then all of a sudden, the big thing that hit recently was the platforms, the streaming platforms. Instead of just being able to stream a movie, you have these platforms. And the producers, being the studios and the streamers, developed a horrible business model. A horrible business model. So from the 80s until now, the amount of money that they've been paying the actors has been kicked down, because they did negotiations according to not wanting to lose money.
Yeah.
When the streaming thing happened, they went to a new media contract on the last negotiation, so that the anything that was put on streaming services was paid at a lesser rate than anything that was on television.
Interesting.
Okay.
Which they didn't know that the streaming services were going to blow up like they did.
Well, I think they might have known. They may or may not have known, but they knew what was going to happen with it.
Okay, yeah.
So the streaming pay got cut down for actors when they did the last negotiation, and they developed the platforms that, in the beginning, the platform was a big money grab for the studios. Yeah. If you think about it, look at Disney. When Disney first developed their platform, they charged you, the consumer, $10 a month, $15 a month, and you had access to everything that Disney had ever put in, all the classic movies, and everybody went crazy and they went nuts for it. But it didn't cost Disney anything, because they didn't have to produce anything new.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you're paying $15 a month to view everything they got.
Yeah.
Well, when you're binge watching a series, what do you do when you get done binge watching the series?
You go find a different one?
You go find a different one, or you quit the platform. You cancel your membership.
Oh, absolutely.
Tons of people did that with Game of Thrones.
Exactly. So Disney saw that coming, so now they have to start producing new stuff. And in order to produce the new stuff, now you have to start paying production costs.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do to compensate for that? Are you going to charge the consumer more and have more people leave?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you're not going to do that.
It was going to
find money to get from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a business model that was set up to fail.
It's just like in a big business, if you're not going to meet your profit goal, what's the easiest way to make money? Don't spend as much money. Start laying people off.
And that's exactly where you get it.
Right.
No benefits, no salary, no overhead.
And so what happened with it now is that the producers are offering to the actors increased wages.
Okay.
Based on the low streaming wages
Oh, okay.
Okay. So what they're doing, what's happening is the low streaming wages are so low that the producers are putting out into the media. They've hired a marketing company to say, "Oh, well, we offered the actors a 35% increase in pay."
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Based
From the
off-
streaming services,
They're
that doesn't even match what they were making on television before.
they're taking the number that benefits them the most to get that
Absolutely
percentage,
they
right?
are.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
when you hear
Exactly.
35% increase, you're like, whoa, that's actually
Yeah.
a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
But if you don't know the origin of where that came from, the number's totally out of context.
Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing they want to do is they want me as an actor to perform in something, and then they want to be able to take my likeness and my voice, copy it through AI, and put it in any project they want for the rest of my life and the rest of their life without compensating me again.
Yeah, that's not like that's the goes against royalties in general, right? Because you put in your time, and it should be your.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't work this way, but in a perfect world, it would be whatever you provide for a film, or what if you're in that and they put it on a streaming service somewhere else, or it goes to theaters or whatever, you should get a check.
Yeah.
Well,
for that.
so that means if they is something that's big and takes off, then they do sequels, and they can just not
put you in there, and you're
You
done.
wouldn't even-
You're stuck like Chuck. And it used to be that when a show got on TV, then you got into syndication afterwards. There's no syndication anymore. Everything goes to streaming. So you might get paid a big amount to do the show initially, but your residuals that actors live on, that working actors live on, go to shit because they're on streaming services and they don't syndicate things anymore.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of misconception about the whole thing, because I've talked to people that said, well, you know, Hollywood, you say Hollywood and you think millionaires and A-list actors, and it's the membership of SAG-AFTRA. 87%, in order to qualify for pension and health for a year, an actor has to make $26,000 for the year.
For the year, yeah. And you're not guaranteed that because you have to be accepted for the part. You're
not guaranteed that. That is what you have to make as a minimum in order to qualify.
Right.
I've been a member of SAG-AFTRA, SAG, and then once the merger happened, I've been a member of SAG for 17 years. I've qualified for pension and health 1 year.
1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
And it's 87% don't make enough to qualify for that. The rest of it is just they're putting a hamstring on it.
Yeah.
They're putting a hamstring on it because you're not going to be able to qualify for that with what they want.
Yeah. Did you think during like the COVID times there's a big shift in that, and like the way that the producers work with the actors?
The COVID shift was what actually sprung the platform development. And it was a big money grab for the producers. I mean, you go look at the top 5 CEOs of the studios of what they've made, and what we're asking for in our contract would cost them about $86 million. I think it's a drop in the bucket for them.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do it because they know what's coming around the corner, because they know if they give this up now, they're going to have to give something up later.
Right.
Yeah, give an inch, take a mile.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they think. But at the same time, that's what. So that does a great job of explaining why the strike even is in existence, because you're not giving the people what they want. So it's like, then we're not going to work.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah. SAG-AFTRA has a membership of about 160,000 actors.
Yeah.
There were, I believe the last numbers I saw were from 2021. There were over 500,000 people in LA alone that put on their tax returns acting as being their profession. So you're talking about a lot of people. And if you look at 87% of the 160,000 person membership, that's a lot of people that don't qualify for health and pension.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's put that into perspective a little bit, I think, because when it's easy to think of actors as like the Johnny Depps or the Brad Pitts and things like that.
Exactly.
But all of the supporting actors, all of the people in
all
the
guys
background,
around them.
they're all actors too. They're just not the famous actor. You know? So they're you never know. That might be their livelihood. They're barely scraping by being in the background of a scene every now and then, you know?
Yep.
And it affects
a
them.
commercial or a voiceover or or even on print.
Do you think that Shaq puts down he's an actor on his tax return? Just pumping out those General Insurance commercials, dude. The Shaq-a-roni pizza's just taking off. But yeah, I mean that's a huge impact on a lot of people, that's always been something that I've thought about when even running a business or working as a manager. Is like you are basically controlling people's livelihoods.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it's great that sometimes you have to force the hand. You know, you have to say, we need to do this.
That's what the writers and the actors are doing at this point. The writers are actually scheduled next week to go back to the negotiation table with the producers. There's not a lot of hope for those talks.
Yeah.
The producers won't even come to the table with us.
Yeah.
They gave us a response to our proposal to them, and they have walked away. We haven't. The SAG-AFTRA has an open door and an empty chair at the table waiting for them anytime they want to come back in, and they're giving the big fuck you to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I read an article that was related to this. There was a studio in L.A. that people were protesting outside of as part of the strike. You know, they would go show up at the studio. It was on this nice street. There was big trees around the building.
Yep, I know right where you're going.
Big trees around the building.
I know where you're going.
The city came through and cut all of the limbs off the trees. And the city they were saying, "Oh, this was done by accident." But the headline article was, they cut down all the trees so the protesters have to stand in the sun all day long.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for them to protest. Yeah. And the city denies it, right? They said it was They did get fined for it because they trimmed the trees illegally.
Right.
But that makes it even more suspicious.
Sure.
Now that you got the fine, you paid the fine.
Yeah.
So what's the real behind the scenes there? Like,
it has been. I'm trying to think of who said it, but it was reported that when it came to the writers, there were members of the AMPTP that stated, you know what, they'll come back to the table when they lose their house.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's like predatory negotiation.
That's exactly what that is.
You're telling like, oh, once they start losing things, then they'll see our way.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing to do. Especially when you talk about a drop in the bucket, you know, for them. But
yeah.
You know, the rich don't stay rich by spending a bunch of money.
They don't.
Got that right.
He's like, I've got that in my Ferrari right now, and I'm still not giving it to you.
So I refuse to use ChatGPT for anything. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because I think what it's going to happen is making people lazy. They're not growing their brain. Mm-hmm. They're losing creativity, those cognitive skills, and I think this is a huge problem that we have not even thought about yet. So I absolutely refuse because there is a useful outlet for AI. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things that AI can accomplish. I have a friend of mine that suffers from traumatic brain injury. And AI has helped her be able to live in the world, but it's like anything else. It's not the technology or the product. It's the intent of the user that's going to come into play, and that's where we're running into problems.
I think that is the hardest thing because AI is only as good as the prompt you give it. I just typed in that really general statement to write the show script. So now ChatGPT makes assumptions on what we should be talking about. So hence you get all the puns about salt, right?
Yeah.
Because it's assuming that
it's got nothing else to fall back on.
The podcast name is Weekly InSalt. We'll just make a bunch of puns on that. You can change it. Like I can go back to that same chat that I have, and it will remember, and I'll say, "Stop making so many puns about salt," and it will totally rewrite the script without them.
Yeah.
And that refinement it's scary when people who don't understand the AI start using it because it can give you a false positive just like anything else.
Absolutely.
It can tell you that it's like raining outside when it's sunny. You know, it's just like anything else.
I do want to touch on one more thing about the strike.
Yeah, go for it.
SAG-AFTRA started doing interim agreements with some of the smaller producers and production companies that aren't tied to the AMPTP. And the thought process initially was that we were giving in to the demands by doing these interim agreements. And I want to make it very, very clear that any company that signs these interim agreements are agreeing to the terms that SAG-AFTRA are trying to get in the negotiation with the big boys.
Okay.
Because the big boys are trying to tell us that they can't afford it, but the smaller companies are actually signing these agreements knowing that it's fair and reasonable that they can.
Yeah.
So it's if a production company makes something on the interim agreement and they try to sell it to Netflix or Hulu or any of the big boys, the big boys have to abide by that agreement and give us. That's why you're not going to see it, because then they're going to give in.
Yeah. And that's an interesting dynamic to the whole thing. Is you've got the big studio, the giants that are out there, and then you've got the smaller studios that are just still making things. Like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was a great example of how a small crew can make something amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they used a really good mix of practical effects with a very little
Yes, they
bit of
did.
CG.
They did.
Yes, they did.
It was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think how many people were like on the technical crew? There was like 3 or something.
Yeah.
3 guys did the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I
it was
think
a great movie.
one of my favorite examples from that is when I don't know the character names, I'm so bad with that, but when you see the girl's face, the main character, what's her name? Michelle Kwan? Michelle Kwan?
No, that was a skater.
Oh, yeah, that is a skater. Wow, that came out of the depths of my mind. But you see her face, and then she does that time warp thing.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, well, they were like, how'd you do that effect with only 3 people? And he's like, I was just walking down the streets in New York, and I pulled out my phone, and I filmed me walking for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we just cut that in and put 2 screens on her side to get the lighting correct.
Yeah.
And she was just sitting behind a green screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's the smaller studios, I think, that are going to make the biggest impact.
You're going to see more of that. You're going to see a lot more of that, because I don't see an end for this.
And I think that's what you have to do is, like, if they're waiting for you to not be able to pay for your house before you come back to the table.
Yeah.
No, when people get backed into a corner, they find a way.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They're going to lean on these small studios and basically tell the big guys, we don't need you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think you need us? We don't think we need you.
Yeah.
And then there's going to have to be a compromise.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to have to
Eventually.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
The shitty thing is that it has to happen. You know, is that the whole thing has to happen. Like, why can't we just live in a world where we can come to an agreement? But you know, that's not the way it works.
Sometimes you have to force the hand.
Yeah,
You do.
You're right.
You have to bond together and unite and stand firm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we should have a strike at a demolition derby. That's America.
or just at the state fair in general, so they can put tables in that you can sit at and eat your crappy corn dog.
I think they got rid of the tables just so that they had more room for people to walk.
Possibly.
Some of the lines were so crazy. There was people waiting 40 minutes for lemonade.
Yeah.
Good.
Did that lemonade have alcohol in it? Because I thought we went into so they opened the gates for the demolition derby, and then they had food and drinks inside the thing. So people waited for 40 minutes to get into the arena to wait for 30 more minutes to get a drink.
Right. What we should have done, what we'll do next year, is just get in line and go into the arena and then sit outside or inside at the tables that they have inside and get beer and crappy corn dogs.
That's Kurt shaking his Kurt, you know what maybe you should do then is next fair, maybe we get you your own corn dog booth.
Maybe.
Kurt's corn dogs.
Kurt's corn dogs.
Kurt's corn dogs.
Well,
Better than the bullshit that's already here.
that's a perfect tagline. Thank you for being on the show, Dale.
Absolutely.
I mean, it seems like the hour
pleasure
goes by.
having you, Dale.
There she goes lying again.
Telling you.
The one and only.
The one and only.
Dale
The one and
Dale
only.
McKeel.
Yeah, thank you. The hour goes by so fast.
It does.
I'm going to tease it because we've got another episode coming up with you soon. You do artwork.
Yes.
Kurt commissioned a painting from you.
Yes.
And we're going to, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's being framed right now, but we're going to involve the guy who's framing it too. There's going to be an episode specifically about creativeness, being inspired, and that whole thing. So look forward to that.
I can't wait to see the reveal. And you haven't seen it either, Kurt, right?
I've not.
Yeah.
No, you delivered it to Kurt all packaged up. He took it straight to the guy to put it in a frame and told him, I'm not going to see it. And then we also have a podcast. Do you want to reveal it on the show? And he's like, sure. So that's super cool.
I'm excited about that.
That'll be coming in the next few weeks. I'm not sure exactly which date, but look forward to that. And thank you again, Dale. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
To everybody else, have a great week. This has been your weekly InSalt. Kurt's corn dogs. Kurt's corn dogs. Now there's probably some listener out there that's so mad they're like, I can't get the Kurt's corn dog jingle out of my head.
Or I'm really craving a corn dog, but I don't want a crappy corn
Dude,
dog.
I kind of do want a corn dog right now. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I didn't even bring up the ketchup.
Oh, no.